everybody, good morning and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips, the Monday edition, capital M Monday edition, capital M. Quindy, are you okay? Like, I got your message late because I didn't look at my Discord all weekend, but I hope you're okay. Poop. Hearts for all those. Anyway, so cool. And, yeah. That's where we are. Oh, Kiki, wait, Kiki. I know, I totally disrupted my everything. Yeah, so hi, I'm Ann. We're here with Quindy. Yay! Quindy, who is back now. And Kiki, who is furry now. And apparently there was a Phantom Justin that we missed on Friday. Oh, Phantom licks. There's real licks, not Phantom licks, she says. Yes, if they were phantom licks, they'd leave ectoplasm instead of dog slime. Is that true? Is that true if you were a ghost dog? Is that true? But anyway, yeah. So I mentioned to people that I was enjoying a book with a ghost dog in it, and now I found a book with a bone dog in it that I also have to read. So we'll see how that is. All these undead dogs, don't get concerned or anything, okay? Don't get concerned, Bubba. You're fine. Good girl. Yeah. Dogs tolerate hugs. You tolerate hugs very well. You tolerate hugs very well, Bubba. There you go. All right. Do you have a stuff? Do you have everything? You have a bully stick, and you have a bed, and you have, hi. And you have a face. All right. As long as you don't eat my stuff. Oh, please don't eat my stuff. Kiki, what are you doing sticking your nose? You cannot eat the paint. You cannot eat the paint. No, you cannot. Yes, so hi. And Kodiak, thank you for the resub. 15 months. 15 months. Yay. Oh, Kiki's all excited now. Got? She's monstrous. Yes, I think she's been monstrous for a while in Ara, but since I see the day-to-day, inching upward of growth, I haven't actually measured her lately, but I'm pretty sure she's a chonky 75 pounds at least. Right, Chonkers? Yeah, Chonkers is one of your many names. Yeah, I know. Good girl. All right, Bubba, go settle. But yeah. Yeah, so I'm having kind of a morning. David got up late. Then, shall we say, okay, I gotta say something here. Something perhaps revolutionary or outraging. But we women take all the flack for spending all the time in the bathroom in the morning. And I would like to say that my mail is worse than any woman I've ever roomed with. I would just like to say that. Somebody was not very Tempest Fugit this morning after he rolled out of bed late. And that has complicated my morning because I don't normally wake up until he comes out of the shower because I can't really do anything until then. Yes. It's seriously. So I am here to say that quit giving all the women all the flack for spending forever in the bathroom in the morning, because I have a complaint to lodge. All right, let's just say that. Hey, Volnavia, thank you for the Prime sub. Is that a vote for my complaining that women take too much flack about being in the bathroom forever? Yeah, Kodiak, yeah. For some reason, I suspect it's because I tend to like tech boys, and tech boys like to go in the restroom in the morning and then sit on their phone for forever and lose track of time. Not saying that's any particular person I might live with right now, but but yeah, so darn it, no double standards allowed. At this point, there are definitely men who need to be ragged on about all the time they spend in the bathroom, and then goes, wow, it's really late, and I'm like, check my watch, I'm like, it's really late, Thanks, honey. Inara. No, because there will be steps taken before that point. I'll plant an exploding timer, that'll totally shake him back to reality. Hey, Twisted Oma, thanks for the 44-month sub. I know, right? 4 years. Kiki, what are you doing? Oh, hold on. There's a scary thing. Oh, there's not a scary thing, but it's making this all silly. What are you doing? What are you doing? Do you want this back here? Do you want it back here? Here. I'll give it to you back here. Okay. Hold on. No, you can have it in my here, and it caught on the gate, and the gate is scary. The gate is a necessary evil for Kiki. So, all right, is that where you wanted your bed? The dog. Seriously, the dog, folks. But yeah, Inara is hilarious. So yeah, we'll see. But I need to find. I'm reminded of the cherry bomb from American Graffiti. The cherry bomb in the toilet trick. I might have to just rig one of those to go off when he's too late. I have some ingenuity, and I am not afraid to use it. Oh Lord, tears. Papa, what are you doing? Papa, what are you doing? Do I have to evict you? Pardon me. I have to evict Disrupt a Dog. Disrupt a Dog. We're kicking you out. Kicking you out. Ha ha ha. You see what I did there? Kicking you out. Yes. Disrupt a Dog. I watched her bed last night, and she loves to wrestle with it, so she is just like, all like, hey mom, play with me. I'm going to get under your feet. Yeah, but it might be worth it. If I can find a miniature one that just like sprayed him with water in the morning, Shadow Raven, that'd be worth it. Yes, Inara. Yeah, I feel that, even though I only have one annoying animal. No, I know. But still, that scene in that movie, that was the only scene in that movie that I gave two cares about as a child, but the rest of the movie was boring for 5-year-old me, but the cherry bomb in the toilet, that stuck. So there's got to be mini cherry bombs that will not destroy your toilet, but will merely disrupt the morning ritual of whoever's in there. So yes, darn you and your practicality, chat. Darn you. All right. Okay, the dog has now brought her bed and collapsed outside the gate, staring at me with woeful eyes. Oh, it's one of those days. And it's allergy full. Take your pill, Quindy. Very allergy full. Ugh. Yeah, it's just a day. Just a day, guys. I'm sorry. My weekend was pretty good, though. How were your weekends, guys? What am I doing today? What am I doing? I think I'm going to do metal. I have to do that. Those are pretty good. I need to do the sword. I need to do the border of the shield. I need to, get that rear plate. All right. Pearl, white, mithril, silver, tarnished steel. Oh, smoke, huh? Yeah, I asked about my mom because they're in Wisconsin right now because it's summer, and as opposed to Arizona when it's in the winter. And I asked her if they'd gotten any smoke. She said it's been hazy. They are just north of Chicago. Hazy, but not too crazy. I'm gonna mix some blade steel and some shining mithril. Even though these use two different types of flakes, you certainly can mix them. You get varying results depending on the flakes involved. Very little bit of rain. Nice. Oh yeah, that's always a. Yeah, I get it, Age of Marvel. I've been there. Although. Yeah, I mean, if you can do it, if you can post it, don't kill yourself doing it. Most of the time people will understand, especially if you shoot a short video saying, hey, I'm moving, I'm going to be gone for a week, you know. People understand when your life is disrupted as long as you tell them. All right, I've got a slightly lighter steel color made by mixing those two. I'm going to grab a little bit more shining mithril, and I'm actually going to put some of this golden iridescent in there just for transparency's sake. Ah, blurk, blurk, blurk. much blurkness with this shining mithril. Glooping mithril is more like it. Diablo continues to vex me as the proud owner of a ridiculous cleric druid, because apparently the boss fights are easier for me than the actual content in the world, which just makes me roll my eyes. But I'm still playing, so I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. Trying to take the skin of paint off the top of my bottle here. These have bigger nozzles, so you will get a little pad of paint on the top. Excess stuff. Yeah. 2 360s. Yeah, eBay's great. I mean, I paid for a whole vacation with eBay. Back when I was still in Texas, my then husband and I decided he had a crap ton of old Games Workshop stuff, and I had a crap ton of old Games Workshop stuff. So I spent several months sorting it and putting it up for auction and mailing it out to people. And managed to make about $3,000. So we paid for our annual trip to the National Dog Show with that. We took an RV, which was fun. Oh, nice, Twistoma. Yeah, fingers crossed that works. By the way, if some of you, I know some of you are like me, not spring chickens anymore. There's a great book that really motivated me when I started really getting serious about like exercising every day. And I wanted to share it with you guys. Some of you have probably read it already. It's been out for a long time, came out in the mid-2000s, but the science is still sound, and it's a good motivational book. I'm rereading the women's version, or re-listening to, I should say, the women's version right now to help motivate myself to stay up with my walks. But it's called Younger Next Year. The original is really written for men, but they also put out a version for women, just kind of to talk about, you know, some stuff that's particular to us, like menopause and things like that. But also just kind of, the first one is very guy. I still enjoyed it as a woman, but it actually it talks a lot about the science of aging. So, and about how to essentially make yourself, feel younger next year, essentially. I was turned on to it, weirdly. I found out about it because Neil Gaiman posted it on his blog, because it made a big difference to him in his health when he was hitting his 50s. So if you are, anywhere from your 40s to your 60s or even your 70s, it probably never hurts to start. It will give you an idea of like how much of aging is optional. And it gives you a path to just get active a little bit at a time. And just kind of talks you through like how the choices we make impact our health. It's a very good book, and it's funny. It's got a lot of funny moments, because especially if you're up for some age-related humor, there's some doozies. It's pretty blunt. It's pretty straightforward. So it's a fun read. So if you're looking for something to motivate yourself, I found it educational and motivational. Yeah. And it's on audiobook, and depends on how you want to listen to it, but I just used an Audible credit on mine. I have the physical copy of the original. And then in conjunction with that, I'm listening to a book on how they realized high-intensity interval training, HIIT training. The scientific studies that kind of prove the point that it's a very effective workout, even though you can do it like in 1 minute. That assumes that if you're at a point where you can push yourself. High intensity interval training is all about like going all out for 30 seconds and then resting for 4 minutes. It's that kind of workout, but I'm kind of hoping to tie those two together. All right, so there we go. So I've got, now when I'm going with Pure Flake, it is really easy to, it's got, see that demarcation line? It's really hard to blend. So we're gonna actually add a little bit more water and try to, but we may have to just go with a little bit of regular paint, do a little bit of wet blending in there, because as you know, thinning metallics can be dicey. Now, the metallics I'm thinning right now, though, are the Shining Mithril and the Golden Superfine. And these are layerable, hypothetically, if I can nail the consistency right. They are a bit easier to blend. Yeah, check it out. I mean, because you still like to walk and hike, Caerindra, so, I mean, it'll give you kind of like, if you want to get motivated, it definitely encourages you to, I mean, keeping moving is rule number one, essentially, if you want to live longer and be in better shape. So I know a lot of us have sedentary hobbies, mini painting, which is wonderful, but sitting is the new smoking. So I hate to use that phrase, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. And there are biological reasons why moving helps keep you feeling better. So I think the thing that I liked about the first Younger Next Year book is it's just like, you know what, if you can't move at all, like if moving hurts you, just start with like a minute or two. Like, just do that. Do anything. Anything is better than nothing. This is not a book that's going to tell you to go out and run. It's a book that's going to say, you know what, this is preventative medicine. Because let's face it, if I get out and run, my knees are blown. All right, so here we go. So a little bit more blending, and you can see that I was able to soften that transition a little bit. And this is the consistency. It's very, very thin. You can see it's like really watery, just like with regular layering. So it's hard to see against this thing. Let's see if I can get, let's get also, you can see it's invisible. Let me get in focus here, since I totally forgot to get in focus first, because it's that kind of day. Cool. Yeah, whatever you can do, as long as it gets your heart rate up a bit. So there's how you can see that it's invisible when I turn it away from the light, and you see it, the shine pick up when I turn it toward. So pretty darn thin. Yeah, Younger Next Year. And there is a version for women. Yeah. Yeah, I like it because it does have a lot of humor in it, and it has some really motivational stories too, so it's a really good read. Yeah, unless you're bedridden, any time is a good time to start getting active. Yeah. And really it's, you know, you don't have to think of active like running marathons. Like my parents just walk every day, more or less. And when my mom, she always says like sometimes she'll have problems where it'll prevent her from walking on a given day, and she always like feels like a slug afterwards, she says. So like even just a little bit of daily stuff. And I really, like I said, I really liked how this book was just like, because some people really can't walk for 5 minutes without hurting, you know, or just like, you know, because they're just so out of shape. And it's like, no, just start with anything, and don't feel bad if you can't do a lot in kind of listen to your body, right? So I like that. I like that kind of preach. Preach more of that. Because you got to make it doable for people, right? You've got to make it so that you feel like you can do it, or you're just not going to do it, right? You'll stay home and eat bonbons instead, because who wouldn't? Or in my case, almond butter peanut butter cups, or almond butter cups, I guess. Dark chocolate, low carb. Yum, 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 yum. But all right, I'm going to get some blue because I did use some blue to glaze up here. So I'm going to grab some of that and mix it in. Yeah, wait, and you can still do high intensity interval with weights, which is the interesting thing. Yeah. But yeah, running is not the only thing, but just getting moving. All right, I'm going to grab and do a new well here with a little bit of blue tinted metallic. It doesn't take much pigment to turn it sky blue either. That's the nice thing about the mithril, the shining mithril guys. It does have some white in it, but not a lot, and it you can tint it really easily. Like I took just a tiny bit of this carbon scoring blue and it made a really pretty powder blue. So, oh my god, that is ridiculous, Carnico. I think bonbons are like truffles, technically, Pendrake. They're like, that was like a 60s reference for sure. Sitting on the couch eating bonbons. I think they're a filled candy. Which technically means the almond butter cup would qualify. Yeah, it makes sense that your hubby would walk at 6:30. Yep. Although, yeah, I used to go after dark, or almost after dark, in Texas. And it was still in the 90s, but, I mean, I had to get my walk in, and it was the only time of the day I could, because getting up early kind of screws up my body. So, I just lumped it. And learned to acclimate to the heat, but I know some people are more polar bear and will melt if that happens. So, but yeah, good for your hubby getting up and doing the walking, Twisted Oma. It really helps. All right, so we're getting a little bit, now we're fuzzing in those dark segments. I do want to put a glaze of metallic over the top of those. So I'm going to actually thin down this this lovely bluish metallic that I made here. A ball of toffee covered in icing sugar. Yeah, I'm sure there's different ones, right? Yeah, I thought it was what's known as truffles now. But I think it's a general term used for filled candies, and it just depends on where you are as far as the specific version. So, I do love me some truffles, but... For those who are using well palettes, I just did a thing that I've talked about. I had a couple drops of this carbon scoring blue here. I took a big drop of water on my brush and I ran it all around the outside of that drop of carbon scoring blue. So now you see that there's a water border around it. The center is still thick. See it? And the outside is essentially keeping it from drying onto my palette. So this is a trick that I do a lot if I need a little bit of a color to stay relatively thick and I don't want to mix a bunch of water into it. But I also am only going to use little bits at a time, and so I know it'll dry. I'll put that big lake of water around the edge, and the center of that blob is still pretty viscous, so I can still use it at close to full strength. This is a well palette trick to keep your palette from being impossible to clean. And of course, with metallics, you always want to run, if you can, you always want to run some of that water around the outside of the mixes, because metallics are a pain in the butt to get off of everything. You might look into biking. I don't know if you can bike where you are, Shadow Raven, but if you've got knee issues, biking has been shown to actually be restorative exercise. Like it brings circulation to your knees without putting a lot of impact on them. So I don't know if biking is something you can do, but you might look into it, because it is one of the exercises along with swimming that do not damage you, like do not impact. They're not high impact on your joints. In fact, they can help your joints because they give you circulation without the impact. So I don't know. I know you're out in the country, so maybe biking would be a thing for you that you could do. Yeah, biking is really good for you. Like, I'm kind of in town here, so I'm not as comfortable biking with traffic, but do what you're gonna do. Yeah, you might consider just going out when there isn't a lot of traffic. There are probably times of day where it isn't too bad, right, Gibson? But yeah, whatever you can do, whatever works for you. Just think about doing something, and then actually do something, because your life depends on it. Your quality of life, anyway, can depend on it. Of course, there are those people who just don't seem to do anything, and they still live to be 103, so biology. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I used to have an exercise bike, indoors. But I really like walking. So that's my thing of choice, really. I like to get out and think about my writing and stuff like that. Like I do a lot of thinking about my book on my evening walk. And then of course we walk Kiki every day. Kiki gets 2 walks, one from David, one from me. So I actually take 2 walks a day. I'm gonna thin this. I'm grabbing some Rogue Shadow. I'm just gonna make sure that shadow here on the underside of the blade is gonna stay dark as I bring up an under reflection. Thank you, Tomorrow Kiddo. Nice. Yeah. Everybody's working hours, right? That's why it's a low traffic time. Maybe the evening. I don't know. Just troubleshooting for you. But if you don't need any troubleshooting, then I'll shut up. I just always like to when people have barriers to getting out there and keeping themselves moving. I always try to my urge is always to try to help solve those barriers. I'm a problem solver. It's what I am at heart. It's really good when the problem-solving instinct really comes in handy, weirdly, with my own stuff, like if I'm trying to troubleshoot a miniature or a scene in my book. Because then that same kind of thinking helps. Yeah, my mother and father-in-law, David's parents, they do the YMCA still. They take advantage of all the resources at their local Y. Although the Y took a while to come back after the pandemic, and apparently it's not as good anymore. Oh, yeah. Sisters of Sigmar. Yeah. Yeah, this is a Reaper model, but I do have a bunch of Games Workshop Sisters of Battle sitting down, actually down on the side of my workbench here. And I just ordered the new 40K, so yeah. I am waiting, though, for Fantasy to come back. The old Fantasy. Since I hear that it's going to come back. That was my first love with Games Workshop. Much as other people did not like it, I'm hoping that when they redo it, it will be really cool. But then I'm going to have to try to find somebody to play with around here. So I tried, guys. I tried to get my husband to agree to play 40K with me when the new box comes, and he was dubious at best. But he mentioned that one of the mini painter friends we have actually plays. And then I realized that probably a couple of the mini painter friends we have probably play, so I might put out a call to try to find some friends. Yeah, Warhammer Fantasy is what got me into GW games. That's not just a song, Kroniko. Not just a song, it still exists out here. Yeah, I know, Volnavia. I feel you. I had to split the cost with David to get the new box because boy was that hefty. What I do though, because I don't really play Volnavia, and I also like to paint things before I play, so it's kind of a motivator to me if I'm playing, because then I actually will paint things. But I like to start with very small groups and to just paint a new unit like every couple weeks, or try to get a new unit like kind of ship shape. And if I do that and I really space it out, it means that I only need to buy like a unit every month or so, and that I can budget for that. It's still expensive, but especially with the battle forces and stuff, if you pay attention to like what's the best deal, I think you can get a decent army put together without, I mean, it's still expensive, don't get me wrong. It's not a cheap hobby. There are far cheaper hobbies in the world. But I pick and choose the models I really like. I usually don't care how well they do in the game. I just want to play pretty things. Oh yeah, that was a long time ago, Gibson. I was playing actively back then. Oh yeah, people in game stores will often play unpainted. At GW stores, they try to... I think they used to try to enforce the rule at Battle Bunkers that you had to have 3 colors and based. That was the 3-color rule. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, if there's a pool, you should look and see. Oh yeah. Yeah. Just looking through here. Oh, that's the new 40K. That's the new 40K in Twisted Oma. You went to the site. You went to the site, and it was a queue. I talked about this on my stream on Saturday as I was sitting in queue. Yeah, they pretty much shut down their website in order to do pre-orders for the new Warhammer 40K. So, and I'm gonna keep working on. So I'm blocking in. You can see these are just blobs right now, right? So I'm just blocking these in. But yeah, they shut down their whole website for a couple hours, a few hours actually. I guess at about 4 hours after they launched the pre-orders, David said that the waiting queue was only like a minute or two, but there was still a queue, so they still had the website shut down until they were done. Yeah, it was, like I said, I had to split it with David. It's a good thing he wanted the Marines Kodiak, because, yeah. New edition, new starter. It's the new Terminators, new Space Marines, a lot of new, the new Librarian is really, really cool. If you like Space Marines, which I don't, but even I looked at that model and went, that's a cool one. But it's also new rule set, Gibson, and Tyranids are in the main box, which is why I bought it. Honestly, if it was not an army that I liked, and there are only 3 armies that I like, well, and I'll give Orcs a pass. I mean, I do actually kind of like Orcs still, but it was Tyranids, and that was my first army, and I've been waiting for new Tyranids for what feels like decades. So I splurged. I talked my significant other into it, and I splurged. I'm going to keep working on kind of a mix of the metallic and non-metallic paint to kind of create a little bit of an under reflection here. Kind of want to blend it in a little bit more. Yeah, exactly. I love Tyranids, so I'm a Xenos kind of girl. I have been since the beginning. My first army. I had a very brief foray into Marines because the only Marines that really ever intrigued me were Space Wolves, because I like wolf bits on my Space Marines. And then of course I've got my Sisters of Battle because I've always liked them. I've just been waiting kind of for an opportunity. So when this box was such a good bargain when they were putting it out, I just grabbed them. Since Golden Demon is around, is like a motivator to pick up a few more GW pieces, because even if I don't play, there are pieces that I like that I would paint for Golden Demon. I am thinking about doing a nice Sisters of Battle squad for GD. So I'm coming back in with my my really kind of white metallic to kind of punch some of these highlights, and I'm going to come down and try to smooth this all over. No, I remember Space Hulk, but I actually preferred Warhammer Fantasy Battle. I was very much more fantasy. I've never been drawn to the grimdark stuff, so for me, Space Hulk. I mean, I loved Space Hulk Tyranids, but I didn't have the money for the box at the time that came out, and then it sold out. So yeah, no. But the first Space Hulk, a long, long time ago, before I'm talking about the second one there, but yeah, I was very much a fantasy fan. Because the grimdark future at that point was very guys only. I hate to say this, but that's how it felt to a girl. Like, all the models were men. I think the first female models that I saw in 40K that weren't demonettes were the Sisters of Battle when they first came out. Like, and there were female Dark Eldar. And actually, that's why that starter box with the Dark Eldar in it when they first came out was the first 40K box I bought. And they were my first, I tried to play them, but they're such a squishy army that required a lot of good strategy, and I am not good at strategy. I'm very much a throw the models on the board and kind of face roll them and hope that my luck carries me through. So I come to the game of any battle game, any miniatures battle game, I come to very much with a sense of humor because I must. So, but I do prefer, as a genre in general, I prefer fantasy. So, just gonna try to bring a little bit. I feel like I've got a little bit too much here. Just pulling it, I mean, back and forth here to just kind of get the bottom side of this blade looking cool. I do still need to bring a pure white. I'm gonna grab probably pearl white for this, 9100. Although it looks a lot like Shining Mithril, and it looks a lot like this Iridescent Pearl Find. Here are the differences, right? So let's talk. So Pearl White was first, and it was definitely a white metallic. It has a decent load of white pigment in it. I would say nothing to kill the shine, but like I was pushing it a little bit because I wanted it to have some coverage. I wanted you to be able to also use this to highlight other metallics. So I wanted not just the white flake, but the white pigment in there so that when you mixed it with another metallic, it would give you a lighter shade. And that's what I was aiming for with Pearl White. When it came down to Shining Mithril, I wanted something similar with the different flake that we used here, but this flake's like plus is that it's a little bit translucent, like it can be blended. So I didn't want to load a bunch of white into it because that would have counteracted that. So it does have some white pigment in it and just a touch of black. It's meant to be used for layering highlights on silver and steel. That's what it's for. It does not have the coverage of the Pearl White. And then of course this golden, I've talked about it before. It has zero pigment in it. You can see that just from looking at how it paints over these bars. Because when you can see this kind of thing where you can see directly that the flake buildup is what you're seeing here and not pigment at all, it's still see-through. That's what you're essentially seeing is it's got zero pigment in it. It's essentially a metal medium only. That said, I can still mix it into these other colors to give them a little bit more boost of shininess if I want to. And even though this is transparent, if I use it for highlights when the light hits them on metallics, it will be very bright. Yeah, and I mean, buying like old models cheap on eBay still works to some extent, depending on the units and how they've developed. Yeah, I'm not into the Space Marines. Like I said, the Space Wolves are the coolest ones. Because they have wolf bits. And wolf friends. Nobody in your area was interested. Yeah, that always sucks in our. But you know what? The cool thing, so the thing about GW that I found, and maybe this is no longer true, but the thing that I always liked about it is that it was, even once I had the armies, I could always flip them. I could always sell them on eBay. So if I decided not to play anymore, I could still get a decent portion of my money back from the stuff that I just wanted to offload, right? As long as I didn't wait too long, or as long as the stuff that I wanted to offload was still like a unit in the game. And even then, even if it's not, there's always some people playing the older version. So yeah, the Terminator Librarian, that's the one. That's the one, Gibson. Like, that even made me go cool, you know? The runes that are painted like cool aqua, it's really cool. Yeah. Got a Space Marine with glowing runes, essentially. Glowing rune armor. It's pretty cool. But, alright, so the reason that we care about how much coverage these have, and why we would use Pearl White here, is that just like doing NMM, where you put a white line around all the surfaces, we're doing the same thing with our metallics. So if we're going to do a white line, we want something with a bit of coverage so that we can get that hard white line, and yet still have it be shiny, and so that is why we would reach for Pearl White. But yeah, I don't know if there's anybody around here who would play with me, but like I said, a couple of our mini painter friends who compete actually play, so maybe Ivan would play with me. And I think Dev also plays. I don't know. Maybe I'll nab those guys and see if we can get like, usually like a 4 to 6 people kind of group is awesome. You can usually get at least one game going when you want. So maybe I need a new group. would motivate me to put things together and get a small army going. I've never really been into the Tech Marines. I mean, they never are going to run out, Kodiak, of the basic 40k box set. Like, never. Unlike their other releases, which are limited things, 40k is their bread and butter. It's their main selling item, and they will always have it in stock. You may notice it, like, there may be a slight delay in them printing more of it, but I don't think there will be, because they knew. Like, if they shut down their whole website for a day, they knew it was going to be popular. They know they're going to make enough. If they didn't make enough, they'd be leaving money on the table, and that is not something that Games Workshop does. So, don't worry, you'll be able to find it. Maybe you'll be able to find it at a discount after a while. The other thing you can do, though, I mean, Kodiak, honestly, if you don't want both armies, it's been a long-standing tradition that, say, you just want the New Marines and the rulebook. There are plenty of people buying that set, who are going to break apart that core box and just sell the different parts of it. And you could probably get the pieces you want at less of a cost. Although if you just want the big shiny box, you know, then I totally sympathize with you, because I wanted the big shiny box for this. There's just something about getting a big box, whether you're getting it from Reaper because you ordered a ton of stuff, or, you know, maybe you got the swag box for a ReaperCon or whatever back when we were doing those. I don't know if they still do those, but yeah, there's just something about getting a huge box of heavy with miniatures. All right, so I'm doing the edges here. That edge is a little rough, so we're going to work on that. They're sleek, and it's so heavy, and you know that, you know, like, that there's all sorts of cool stuff in it. Yeah, the Tyranids are awesome. The new Carnifex is awesome. The new units are neat looking. Yeah, I'm into it. I'm on for it. I'm on board for that. So I got a little bit of a rough edge here. I'm going to get in close so you guys can see how rough it is. See how much that pearl white covers. It's actually really kind of roughed out there. So I am going to grab a little bit of dark and kind of knock that back a little bit. I can always go back over it. So a lot of, even more than NMM, I find working with shaded metallics can just be like an eternal dance of trying to figure out how's it going to look, how to get it to look like you want it to look. And I do a lot of going back and forth. Get glitter onto them. I would think about doing iridescent carapaces, but I think I've already committed to doing just standard painting on them. Because I want to be able to enter a couple in Golden Demon, so color shift paint ain't going to work for that. I could always color shift them afterwards, though. I need to find if there's a red-purple color shift. Maybe a red-purple-yellow color shift. If you find one, let me know. So I'm just coming in and trying to layer up some metallic here. Kind of make this a little bit sleeker and a little more smooth. Metallics are curmudgeonly things. They, especially on 28s, it's just this little tiny surfaces you're working with. They can be problematic. I've got that little divot there that I don't like. I am not a Gene Stealer fan. Like, when they did Gene Stealer cults, I was just like, meh. Like, the Gene Stealers are my least favorite Tyranid. Because they're the least monster looking. They're more humanoid, and that's, you know, on purpose. But I just don't enjoy the aesthetic. So I like my Tyranids to look like beasts. Less human, more monster. But that's purely a personal preference. Still trying to kick that edge down a little. There we go. So, and I want to make sure I minimize that here as well. Just want that line. I want that edge, see? That's a little better. And now I feel like I really need to bring in a little bit more highlight here, or shading. It's metallic, shiny. I need more shinies. More shinies. Must have more shinies. I'm looking for kind of a red, a yellow, red, purple maybe. Because my Tyranids are going to be like, probably like icy, kind of like icy blue teal skin with a like dark, like mulberry going up to a violet red carapace, I think. Maybe with some orange highlights. So that would be the color shift I would want. After Golden Demon, I can always put color shift on them. All right, let's bring up the bottom edge of this sword and get them to the front. Yeah, I got my badge and I ordered my my big Sophie. And if I understand correctly, you get a big Sophie with the meet and greet pass, right, Quindy? So if you order, it's an extra one. I hope that's so, because we all know my master plan about that Sophie. But I'd like to paint one on stream and also have an extra for the master plan. So hopefully, yes, good. All right, so then I'm getting 2, and that is perfect. The master plan is in place. All I need to do is get a certain person's address from Justin. So the griefing can begin. I might even pay extra to have DHL ship it and pay the hit just to make sure it gets to him. Because I don't think I want to trust it to the normal post. All right, so brought that up, but it's still pretty. You can see the dark. So this happens when you underpaint metallics, guys. Whatever when you put a real dark level of paint and then you paint over it with something that is mostly flake and not too much pigment, the flake will disappear as you tilt it away from the light and you see that dark shadow. And then you tilt it back and you get the shinies. And you tilt it down and you get the light. It's magic, right? So you can play around with that effect and get some cool effects. Yeah, if you have an extra one, I know Shadow Raven really wanted one in Ara. You might touch base and see if you can like exchange money for extra Sophie. I know he was looking for somebody, or they were looking for somebody to part with. All right, so I'm going to throw some shadows down here. Oh, yeah. So you'll have to plan. That's the thing, is we understand like that ReaperCon, this is the thing to understand for those who might really want to be kind of getting the FOMO right now about ReaperCon, is that do make it like a priority to block it out in your schedule beforehand. Otherwise, other stuff, we all know that family vacations and all sorts of other stuff happen in the summer. Family reunions, you know, all sorts of family stuff. And so that stuff will absolutely pop up to prevent you from going to ReaperCon. So it is something that if you want to go for all 4 days anyway, if you're, you know, traveling from across the country, you will want to block that into your schedule in advance so that then when you start to plan your family trip, you can say, oh, Labor Day weekend is off. Let's plan it for the end of July instead so that we can, you know, and let's save some time off for ReaperCon, that kind of thing. I'm going to do just some breakup shades here. Just to kind of break up the outside edge. Yeah, and budget for sure. Oh, okay. Okay, Shadow Raven is... Yeah, as long as you're taken care of, Shadow Raven. I'm just watching out for you. Yeah, there will be other people who want it for sure. So the easiest way to blend with metallics is actually not to use metallics at all, but to use your regular paint to do the blending of the mid into the shadow. Regular paint is going to be a lot more translucent than metallics, no matter which metallic you're dealing with. So you're going to be able to control your shading and blend things in nicely by using the paint. And then when you come back to highlight, you use your metallic again. and edge highlight. Let's see here. So this shield has definitely a bit of a... See how it's actually kite-shaped? It's got that curve. So that means I've got probably a shadow right here. Wherever a face cuts away from the light, and she's holding it up like this, then you're going to get a little bit of shadow. And, you know, just generalize. It's like you don't have to be perfect with this kind of technique. Let's see here. A little bit down here. I just like to alternate bands of shadow and light to make it a little more interesting. Did it pretty well down there. And then up here, we're going to do just a little bit of shadow here. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, ReaperCon is not going away, at least not in the near future, so I mean, nobody can speak to... Nothing lasts forever, but I imagine ReaperCon will continue. Ah, yeah. Sounds good, Caerindra. Sounds good. Because I always thought color shift... Like, Tyranids are one of the few things that I feel color shift is actually a good idea for. Color shift otherwise I feel is much better for larger models, but Tyranid carapaces, like, that's where that particular, like, fad paint, or dare I say, novelty paint, works, in my opinion, really well, potentially, because bugs are iridescent. So it makes sense that you would have color shift on bugs, even alien bugs. So I'll have to wait, and if I enter any Golden Demon, I'll have to wait till after Golden Demon to iridescent them, but... There we go. Yeah, the wishing, right? If wishes were horses, beggars would ride, right? I wish I could go to X, but then they never plan for it. There's always something more important. Like, it's like, if you want something, make a plan. That is it. Like, if you do not make a plan, you are essentially saying you don't really want to go. Unless, of course, you have so much discretionary income that, you know, your last minute wish can come true as long as, you know, all the stars align. But yeah. Ha. Sure, I didn't tell you to go spend money, Gibson. I said I spent money. If you chose to, like, you know, to use me as a scapegoat in your spending decisions, it's Anne's fault. She showed me the pretty models and I had no willpower. That doesn't really work, you know, as an excuse. There are sometimes I will gladly offer myself up to be thrown under the bus. But I don't know that I want to be thrown under this bus. Hopefully money is much better after retirement. I know a friend who thought retirement was going to be... Actually, I had two friends who thought retirement was going to be great, and then they realized that they didn't have any income anymore, and they started getting really nervous. So one of them went back to work. I don't know if the other one did. Haven't touched base in a while. So hopefully you are right, and, you know, your post-retirement life will be awesome. Me, I'm a writer and a mini painting teacher. I don't think I'm ever going to retire, really. Retirement implies I want to get away from my job, and I kind of like my job, so I can't see myself stopping doing things. I can see slowing down. I can see that. Like, when I get to a certain age, just deciding, you know what? Do I really need to be doing these streams 5 times a week? Yeah, I can see getting to that point, but... No, not even 40-something with responsibilities. 40-something with, like, free will. And accountability. Oh, the most hated word of this last 10 or 20 years is nobody wants to be accountable. Everybody wants to blame something for why they don't have X or Y or Z, or why they did X or Y or Z. I'm shaking my head at all of you. Actually, some of you are perfectly accountable beings who do not try to throw me under the bus when they go out and buy a bunch of Tyranids and Space Marines. I appreciate you. Yeah, you're really, if there's pensions still out there alive, you are lucky, Volnavia. But yeah, do still save. I had an old friend in the dog world who her husband worked for Kodak, the camera company, and after he passed away, she still got his pension, but then Kodak went bankrupt, and it all fell through, and she didn't really have much of a plan. So, yeah, for sure it's good that it's good. It sounds like you're aware that crap can go wrong. I feel for people like that. She was a nice lady. There we go. So we're picking up the highlights here. This work in progress, we've got a lot. I have a lot of works in progress tomorrow. So okay, so I don't know if you've been on this stream before, but we do. So we have 6 models going at a time, and I do a different one every day, and then we loop back around. So hold on. Boom. Some of them they're in various states, and we actually finished a bunch. So my work's in progress right now. I've got a female scribe, got the NMM we've been doing on her. Ones that we just finished. We just finished Sophie here. Oh, writing. Yeah, so I published my first book this year, tomorrow, kiddo. I published a YA fantasy based on Norwegian folklore called East of the Sun. And I'm working on the sequel. Or I guess it's a duology, so it's essentially the second book that ends the story. And I'm really close to done. Like, I'm at the 90% mark. I'm just rewriting. It was a book I wrote ages ago, but I'm having to rewrite entire chapters because it's old writing, and I knew that I didn't like the ending when I wrote it. Yeah, so... Yeah, it's based on the old, it's extrapolated. It takes the story from the original Norwegian folktale, East of the Sun and West of the Moon, and extrapolates a fantasy world out of it. So East of the Sun, A.E. Becker is my pen name, and yeah. So that be the thing. And then, hold on, let's see here. The other one we've been finishing, here I've got my recently finished ones. The other ones we're just starting several figures, but these are the other 2 that we just finished. The Necromancer here, and the Burgermeister here. So, yeah. So we've been doing lots of stuff. So that's about the level that I try to finish models to. So a pretty good display level. And we're just starting this elf and this elf. We decided to go elfy. We're doing very different skin tones on them. So we're starting her very rosy and kind of sun weathered, and we're going to bring that up, and then he's more of a naturalistic, more muted skin tone. But yeah. Yes, we do discuss ourselves as works in progress. This is absolutely true. Hold on, I gotta make sure everybody goes back to the correct place in line. I think the scribe is here. And the Kathy Wapple, this one is NMM, so we're doing a non-metallic metal on her. Tribute miniature, and I think that's everybody's in place. Oh, and the giant mouseling. We're also, just for fun, working on a giant mouseling. He's a giant mouseling kind of witch hunter kind of dude. So we've been doing some stuff on that too. And we've been doing the leather texture up on the hat. Oh, I think did we just reboot? Yeah, so the leather texture up here is based on stuff that I learned when I did a class with Mark Maskelyns. And the original, it's definitely meant for models that are a larger scale, but the original inspiration was this. This is my class model that I was working on during the class. You can see the leather texture coming up there on the shoulder of the jacket. So yeah, so that's what we do. So I do high-end stuff, but I try to make it accessible, kiddo. So if you we are here every weekday. This month especially, I think I'm on every day. I don't really except my birthday. I'm taking my birthday off, so June 21st I am off. But yeah, yeah, it's dude. You're right, Curtico. It's dude. Yeah, the fur is cool too. It turned out take a class with Mark if you ever get a chance to. Maskelyns, Masclans. He's a European painter, Spanish. Very, very good teacher. Really enjoyed his class. Probably enjoyed it more than anything. Yeah. Come hang out with us. I'm coming to the end of the stream right about, I guess, in 20 minutes or we'll call it 30. But yeah, we start a little bit after 11:30 a.m. USA Central Time. But yeah, the hat is turning out really well. I want to tint it a little less brown, I think, but we'll see. I'm gonna cool it down a little bit. But yeah, he's coming out really well. I like him. Might give him to Ron when we're done. Many of my models, when I'm done with them, they go into the Reaper gallery. Some of them I keep, some of them I consider selling, things like that. But I have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/paintingbig. That's the other thing I do for a living. So. All that thing. That's who I am. Oh, okay. You're in Australia. Oh, no. You are a night owl. Well, hi, Australia. I'm glad you tuned in, though. I hope you had fun. And hopefully your schedule will permit you to night owl out to see us again. Yeah, sleep well. We're a good community here, so it's worth catching Reaper streams when you can. And I'm always willing to answer questions as well. Alrighty. Just a little bit more really pale color. Oh, yeah. Got caught in raids. Yep. Oh, okay. Oh, from Nano. Nice. Yeah, I'm working on that final. My project on Nano right now is informal, but I'm starting a new book for Nano Camp Nano. It'll be book 3. I have officially committed. So I'm going to get the lower edge here of the rim of the shield. Let's get a little closer again now that we're... I want to pick up that edge because light will be falling along it, and likewise the edge on the other side. So it's kind of like doing an edging all around the sword, right? The white edge all around the sword is that doing the edging on the shield, at least where the light is. So just that edge, picking that up. And I can kind of blend that into some of my highlights. And I did get a little chonky here. That can happen with metallics every once in a while. You just kind of get a blob of it, and you can gotta strive to kind of blend it in again, which can be annoying. I usually stipple a bit to try to blend it in when I've got that kind of thing going on. So I'm using several different metallic, at this point. It's just like a kind of a paler steel, and then there's the silver white, and then there's the pure pearl white. And I'm kind of going back and forth between them depending on where I'm trying to highlight and how blended in I want it to be. Alrighty, let's see here. So this needs blending for sure. You can see how that is really rough. So I'll grab my darker metallic here to try to get a little bit more blending in this area, because it's definitely, I hit some pearl white in there and it's definitely globulent. Could grab a little bit of my shadow color as well and try to kind of blend that together and bring it back down. Alrighty, so we'll bring this white edge up. I do want to get the outside edge, all of it, with the white, pearl white. So I'm using the side of my brush to get that. Did the top already. Remember, turn the model, not your brush hand, when you want to be able to hit things. You almost want to keep your brush hand in a comfortable position. So if you have to turn the model upside down, do it. Don't be running around trying to like get your brush handle in different positions. It doesn't help you. It does not help you build brush control, for one thing. The layering brushstroke gets even more important with metallics, because you stand to develop some streakiness or blobulence if you don't pay attention to the correct brushstrokes. So remember to always start the stroke in the shadow, pull toward the highlight, so that when you do release a little bit of extra paint, it goes right where you want it. Even with that, though, you can definitely see brushstrokes with metallics. Sometimes you gotta muck around with it for a bit. And do a bit of stippling to build it up and spread out that highlight. There. Alrighty, so a little bit, there's nice shine. That's what we kind of want. We want to see kind of the light moving a bit across the surface of the shield. I want a little bit more up higher, I think, though. There we are. So you can really see, again, when it turns away from the light, that's when you can really see the pigment that you've put down. And then as you bring it back into the light, you see that less. It's more subtle. And that's just what happens with shaded metallics. but that looks a lot better now. And now I'm going to do this little back greave, and then we're going to work on the front of the sword. Oh boy, today is Patreon day. I need to work on a new PDF today for the Patreon $5 tier. It's going to be all about red pigments. Kind of what I did with blue pigments a couple months ago. Because there are different red pigments that are available now from the various lines. I thought I would talk about them a bit. Because red is my favorite color for the most part as far as to paint. I enjoy painting red more than I enjoy painting many other colors. All right, so we're getting those little bits up there. Then we need a little bit of highlight down here. And a little bit of highlight along the edge here. We just want to be able to see that, and that's about right. And I need to shade that a little bit more around that edge. Oh, good, Big Chimpo. Glad to hear it. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I really like talking about color composition. Giving people actionable steps, because it's really something, not so much in Europe where there's more of an art focus, but here in the States, it's definitely something that painters don't really get introduced to until later, usually in their painting careers. And I think that introducing it earlier is actually a lot of value, especially when you're trying to make decisions about where your colors go. Oops, sorry. There we go. Yeah, well, that's why I like it too, because it's fun to blend. That's why my Sisters of Battle favorite color is the black cloth and the red armor. Although I am thinking about actually twisting that a bit now. Maybe giving it a real purple shadow and a highlight red. Not sure. Like, I was going to do pretty standard textbook Sisters, but now I'm thinking about maybe go more of a purple red would be kind of fun and pretty. They don't have to be like one of the established chapters. You can make up your own, just like with Space Marines. So. Alrighty, let's get onto this side. Yeah, it scratches the surface. It's definitely a surface scratcher, but it, I think showing the different examples of the different miniature was fun. I got to pretty much look through all of our cases here at the house and grab the models that I felt illustrated the various points best. Just trying to get that edge a bit. You can see the line down the middle there. And I mean, when you're trying to talk about color composition and still make it accessible to people, you do have to just scratch the surface. But you have to scratch, as you say, you have to scratch the surface in the spots where it's useful, where it's actionable for even a beginner painter, right? And where even an intermediate painter can start like double checking themselves on that sort of thing too. But of course it is just like the beginning, really. There are many more complex models. Although the one I used for Sergio's is one of the more complex ones, and I didn't talk about the fact that Sergio is actually violating one of the things, one of the kind of rules, quote unquote, of composition on that model. In that, a couple of times he's using accent colors that are only in one place on that model, which is not something I would do. But he gets away with it because the model is just so complex. The color pops that he uses, he's choosing because they're complementary to one of the other colors on the figure. But I didn't want to get into all that because that's a lot more complicated. It's like, I'm not going to teach you first I need to teach you where the rules are, and then, we can talk about breaking them. But people in our hobby like to run before they walk, and so I tend not to encourage that because I know people are going to go there anyway, whether I encourage it or not. I've tried hard to become a good teacher above all else, Big Chimpo. I have a brain that likes to break down things into fundamentals, and that helps. So mostly I'm just happy my mind likes to work that way through no external, extraordinary effort of my own. I will say that, my new hobby, knitting, I mentioned when I started it that part of the cool thing about that was that it put me in a beginner's seat again. And when you are looking at becoming an instructor of anything, I think that that's a wise thing to do, because you have to remind yourself what it's like every once in a while to be a beginner in a hobby. Right? And then you start really seeing how much you actually have to simplify things. Like, it brings home to you, it's like, oh no, I can't actually gloss over this step. This step is important. It's a minute thing that people aren't mentioning. It would drive me crazy if I met this in knitting, so I'm going to define it, even though I might think I might not have to. Right? So it is, it's a good thing to pop yourself into a new hobby every once in a while if you are an instructor in a different thing. But yeah, I like to break things down to their mechanical fundamentals. Yeah, I tend to do the same. I bought more stuff for my birds. My outside birds are my new hobby too. But that's an easy hobby because I do have to learn a little bit, but mostly I'm just feeding them and making sure they have water and enjoying them. I need to buy a new bird feeder, but bird feeders are expensive. I would like to complain about that, Cronico. I really want I just want a hopper feeder there's one with a copper top. I would love to have that because then, and I could say that it's for mini painting and watch the corrosion progress, but it's expensive. So I'm like, I will have to budget for this bird feeder. I did put out a ground tray for them, and they're very happy about it. And it gives me somewhere to put the cheaper bird food so that I can put the really good bird food in the squirrel buster. But the other thing is that my existing bird feeder isn't really friendly to big birds. So the perch is not super big. Like a cardinal would be able to sit on it, but anything bigger really would not be able to. So you would like to complain too. Yes, exactly. Bird feeders are expensive. I did get a bag of sunflower hearts and sunflower chips yesterday because I went to the garden center and I ended up, I go to the garden center and I'm like, I'm going to get a bag of dirt and I'll look around a little bit. So when I walk out of the garden center, what I have is a bag of dirt, a brand new big pot to hold my brand new Anaheim pepper plant and my bell pepper plant, And then I pick up a rosemary plant because David has mentioned he wants a rosemary plant. And I might have also picked up a bag of sunflower hearts and seeds and a suet holder and a suet cake for the birds. Yeah, just going to get a bag of dirt, folks. Oh, yeah, cheap plastic. Plus, they're ugly. Who would, like... I actually think the Squirrel Buster is a nice looking feeder. Like, it's actually a nice looking feeder. But I saw, what was it? There was like Squirrel X or something at the garden center, and it's ugly gray plastic. It's just like really, really awful. I'm like, who puts that on their patio? Right, exactly, Inara. Right. But, you know, and then after my mother like asked me why I didn't just get a nice like cedar wood raised bed, right? I'm like, there's no room for that out there. And I mentioned it to David and he's like, oh, we could put that somewhere. I'm like, don't encourage me. Yeah, it never goes to plan, Critico. You're right, and I love the flowers, but I don't have anywhere to put them in my yard. So the flowers are safe. Although I have started taking now, I've realized that 4 of the plants in my front yard are actually birds of paradise. I'm coddling them now. I'm thinking about cutting back other plants to get them more sun because I really love bird of paradise. All right, I think we're looking okay. Let's see. I feel like I need a little bit more shadow down here. I went a little overboard with reflection because there would be reflected light coming back up here, but I think I need a bigger shadow. Ugh, yuck, big chimpo, no thanks. Considering how there are many nice, you know, good-looking natural materials, you know, or very like more heavy-duty, which is my my Squirrel Buster, but it's still an attractive feeder, relatively speaking. There are plenty of options that are not ugly gray plastic. And they were just as expensive for their ugly gray plastic, which was just like eye-rolling bad. So we're bringing in our shadow. We're knocking that back a little bit. I might have to bring another highlight in here. Now, I just blew a bunch of money on 40K. What else did I just buy? I've also bought something else. Oh, trail running shoes. Because I need like some hiking shoes. Like the boots are not doing it for me because packing them is not, is often not feasible for vacations. Like they just don't fit. And we're going to Hawaii and I'm going to want to hike. We're going to want to do waterfall trails and stuff, with Kiki probably. And so I know I need something that's gonna be able to handle those trails, and I've tried to do them in regular shoes, and it just isn't good. They'll just get utterly filthy, and so I got some Gore-Tex, like waterproof, water-resistant trail shoes. And they'll be small enough because they're not boots. They will actually fit in my luggage, and they're waterproof and very cleanable. And I bought them in a color that would not show the muck as much. So I was like, I have the cash right now. I might as well do it because by the time our Hawaii trip comes around, I'm going to want this and I might not have the money at that point. So. Oh no. Yeah, I don't have any nesting boxes yet. I'm thinking about it. I'm pretty sure our house finches would love to have. We have a gang of them. Although we did finally get a little chickadee back the other day. Although the chickadee was, he was alone, he or she. And I think was a younger one and was easily frightened away by the house finches. But hoping the chickadees will come back around. There was a bunch of them at first, but the food wasn't good enough, and so they moved on. Just a little bit of light there. I think we're okay. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how I like these. I bought Nike because I know how Nike fits my foot, so. And I really like their running shoes. They're walking and running shoes. I even bought them off the Nike site instead of Amazon because they had better color choices. Just touching up this a little bit. There we go. Yeah, I'm curious to find out what would... We're not getting pygmy nuthatches yet, back either yet. I think I killed the tree that had the bugs that they loved. My fault. Yes, have a good week, Turgeon. I'll be back. Obviously. All right, I think we're good. I think we got all the metallics kind of tuned up. Everybody's looking pretty shiny and good. Did the shield rims. That's nice. Sword's done. Back elbow is done. So now we just need a little bit on the brass metallics as well. But we'll probably hold that for a future stream. I am going to touch up a little bit of this one. There. And buckle. But yeah, so we still got to do our leather. We still got to do our blue cloth. Freehand, obviously, the back of the shield, we're going to have to figure that out. I kind of still want to do like some white designs on it, which would match her color scheme overall. I was thinking about just a white eagle over the quartered base because I think that would look nice. I'll have to look up an appropriate heraldic eagle and see what we can do. But yeah, so the blue and the leather for the most part, and then the freehand. But she's looking nice. She looks like a northern warrior. Yeah, I think everybody finds a brand that fits their feet the best. Gibson, for sure. I went into a running store and actually got fitted for, like, tried on a lot of different brands and found that the Nike Pegasus was, like, my go-to. So I just tend to go, when I'm ordering, especially if I'm ordering footwear, if I'm not at a store, then it's best for me to stick with the brand that I know how it fits, right? Yeah, you like this one? Good. Tomorrow, guys, we're back to our elf. We're back to our wood elf. Wood elf number 1. Wood elf number 1. He looks good. He's going to be good. I have faith. He's going to be fun to do. Once we get the colors figured out. But yeah. So I hope you all are going to have had a good start to your week. And we will be seeing you again tomorrow. It is time for me to take the Keekster on her walk. What? Angry Link? Oh, Angry Link, yes. I don't know about a thistle. I don't know. I like the thought of an eagle, like a white eagle or an osprey. But yeah, and it's Rhonda Day. So don't forget it's Rhonda Day, folks. And we'll be back with this dude and his tree shield. Oh boy, yawn attack. Tomorrow, I'm going to try to wake up. Thanks everybody. Have a good one. And I will see you again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.